good morning, good afternoon. As you can already tell, a little upgrade to the setup and to just how we do things here. Not a crazy upgrade, not a major upgrade by any means. I'm also recording my audio through my computer instead of my headset because my headset sounds kind of trash. So, we're just rolling with the computer. We're gonna see how it works. Also, if you can hear my air conditioner in the background, I'm sorry about that. It'd be pretty hot this time of year. If you live in the Midwest, you know it's a struggle. But I don't know why I'm sitting in the screen. I guess I just wanted to watch myself talk. But here we are, not gonna hold you any longer. Let's get right into it.
On October 8th, 2022, at about 7:30 a.m., 55-year-old Angela Pritchard was arriving for work at the Mississippi Ridge boarding kennels off of Highway 52 in Iowa. 9 minutes later, at 7:39 a.m., the Bellevue Police Department received this phone call.
911, where's your emergency?
Please, get out of here. I have customers coming in. Please.
911.
Please get out of here.
Okay, where are you at?
Correct.
Ma'am, where are you at?
The phone call suddenly disconnects. Fortunately, an officer just so happens to be nearby, so he heads straight to the kennels. The property has...
Wow. Dude. Alright, I'm telling you right now, she had to have did something wrong. The only way she didn't do something wrong in this situation is if he misinterpreted one of her actions for another action, which would make him have that reaction. There has to be no other way that I can truly think of, because no man walks up to his wife, not his girlfriend, his wife, and shoots her fatally with one shot, or else you would have heard noises. Shoots her fatally with one shot, kills her instantly, and then while she's on the phone with the cops, he probably knew that because he shot her, proceeds to say, "Fuck you." That's just another level of demon time. That's just another level of the YNs need to recruit this dude, because wow, she either messed up, or he thought she messed up, or he's crazy. Those are the only way the only three ways that thing could have happened. Sorry for holding y'all so long, but so much stuff just came to my mind at once after listening to that.
It's 3 buildings, a house at the north end, a house at the south end, and the kennels right between them. Aware that there might be an active shooter inside the kennels, the officer decides to park behind the south end house so the shooter isn't alerted.
Are you really gonna miss this?
We do this training once a year. There's 800,000 to a million people who will join us,
and
it's not
coming up
by his president.
I'm broke. I ain't got no YouTube Premium. Come on now.
Law 721.
21, go ahead.
I'm approaching the kennel now. I do see one vehicle out front, one vehicle.
As he walks up to the kennels, he can hear a choir of barking dogs.
I don't like this.
The officer momentarily retreats, hesitant to enter without backup.
Hey, you guys. I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier in the video, but I've noticed a few little things going wrong where my videos corrupt. If you've made it this far, and you proceed through this video, if it corrupts, can you please leave a comment and let me know? And if you can't leave a comment, that means your account is either restricted, which you're 8 years old, which you probably should not be watching my video, or if you can't comment, you don't have a YouTube account, which is 2025, dude. If you use YouTube in 2025, you probably use it every day. So just make an account, dude. And you don't even gotta subscribe, you don't gotta like, you just gotta tell me if my footage is messed up. Please and thank you. Please and thank you, by the way.
How far out is my assistant?
But realizing there's no time to lose, he finds the courage to enter the building.
Dude, I know my eyes did not just think that he was walking with a machete. Like, it took me a second to realize that that was a shotgun.
Hello? Angie?
Dude, she dead.
As he calls Angela's name, another officer arrives at the scene.
I don't know what we got here, but he said possible shots fired. Law Center 21, we are going to enter the building.
He's getting a phone call.
421.
The officer inches his way down the hall, gun in hand, and at this moment, a pool of blood enters his sight. In the bathing area of the building, Angela was lying face down, unresponsive. They flipped her body over, and a large close-range shotgun wound to her chest was revealed. What could have led up the over area of gun in hand, and at this moment, a pool of blood enters his sight. In the bathing area of the building, Angela was lying face...
What the hell? If I'm not mistaken, he just said in the middle of the bath area. Alright. I don't know if I'm just poor. I don't know if I'm just different. I don't know if this is just weird. But file cabinet in the what room? In the what room?
A pool of blood enters his sight. In the bathing area of the
bathing area. Wait, the bathing area of what?
building, Angela...
The building. Oh, well, I guess it's not a home. But still, why do you need a file cabinet in the bathing area, a whole stand-up fan, and a trash can that you can put your foot on to open the top? All you need is a tiny trash can. Well, maybe I'm just poor, but, you know, every bathroom that I've been in that has been in my house, it's got a little trash can. Definitely don't have a filing cabinet in it. I don't think I've... Actually, no. I'm kind of in the trenches, so the walls are kind of thin, so I used to have to bring a heater into my already hot showers just to stay warm, and in the long run, looking at it, I don't remember feeling any heat difference, so it was a waste of time.
Angela was lying face down, unresponsive. They flipped her body over, and a large close-range shotgun wound to her chest was revealed. What could have led up to such a barbaric...
Bro didn't even use a pistol. He said, I want you dead. He got the shotgun. Alright, now this is just a stereotype. This is just an assumption. But if you own a shotgun, you probably own a pistol. So he said, no, I don't want any chance of her surviving. You know, I don't want her to be like G Herbo. Get shot in the neck, get shot in the head, I think, get shot in the neck again, get shot in the chest, and be alive. You know, she's not gonna be the Grim Reaper of Iowa. He want that bitch dead. If you don't get it, did I say G Herbo? No, it was Lil Reese. It was Lil Reese that's called the Grim Reaper of Chicago because he's been in multiple shootings and got shot numerous times in each shooting and survived all of them. Dude's a demon. He's a Grim Reaper of Chicago. But anyways.
attack, and more importantly, who was responsible.
911.
Can you please get out of here?
Okay, where are you at?
Shit.
Chris Pritchard has been described as a genuine and kind man, someone who is fun to be around but works very hard for his family. Chris and Angela met in 2017 and dated for 2 years before moving into a Bellevue home together. They got married soon after, in March of 2019, and the couple's relationship flourished, but only for 8 months. Out of nowhere, Chris got fired for stealing $36,000 worth of supplies from the company he worked for. To make matters worse, he was charged with first-degree theft, a felony that can result result in a $13,000 fine and 10 years in prison. Chris posted bail, and while awaiting his trial, he became overwhelmed with stress. Over the months, he began drinking more and more and refused to search for another job. But just when he seemed to be at rock bottom, Chris had a sudden boost of motivation and energy. He began working several odd jobs and frequently helped Angela at the kennels. But in the summer of 2021, Angela discovered the source of Chris's newfound energy. He was using heavy stimulants. Then, on April 18th, 2022, Angela told her family that Chris had become physically abusive. Her son immediately...
Alright, so disregard every, stereotype about why what happened, or why what happened in the beginning. Disregard all of that. This dude's just cooked. Just cooked. And it's crazy. I've only been on this earth for, can I really tell, would YouTube be okay with that? Alright, hold on, I'll just add it up. Just 10 and 6. Alright, I've been on, that's how many years. But yeah, no, with that short amount of time on this earth, I can name you, I won't name them, but I could tell you at least 5 people I know of that haven't done this exact situation, not like murdered their wife, but like did everything else in this situation but that.
Called the police, and officers were dispatched to the couple's residence to assess the situation. Angela's sister Wendy was there for support as officers tried to figure out what exactly happened.
He hit me and then I came in the house.
He's very, very, very messed up.
Yeah.
We've seen him change right in front of our eyes, haven't we?
The officers then headed into the garage to confront the man himself.
State of Iowa law requires that somebody goes to jail on physical domestic.
I can't believe I'm going to jail.
Well, she got a mark on her face.
Chris reluctantly cooperated as the officers handcuffed him and escorted him to the back of a police cruiser.
I can't believe I'm going to jail. You're a buster, bro. You're a sucker, dude. You're scum, buddy.
He was then brought down to the Jackson County.
Dude, no, because for him to murder her, bro, she had to do something wrong, bro. Like, obviously, I've already been proven wrong for the most part, so I'm not saying she did something wrong, but, like, she had to have, bro, because, like, she had to have retaliated in some way that just made him be like, oh, you retaliated to me, I thought I had so much power, now I just gotta kill you, I don't know. Maybe he was trying to keep something secret. We'll find out.
County Jail. Now that he was out of the house, Angela took one of the officers into the garage and showed him a hidden tracking device she had found on her vehicle. Heading back inside the house, she pointed out several hidden cameras that Chris had installed.
You have no idea what I go through every single day with him. No idea. It's been getting worse, and it's been getting worse. I don't want him anywhere near me.
It seemed that Chris was not only abusive, but was tracking Angela's every move. The officers had her fill out a form for a no-con...
Because that is like one of my worst... Sorry, bro. We're only 4 minutes and 40 seconds into the YouTube video. And we're 13 minutes into the recording. I'm sorry. If y'all like listening to me talk, then... keep listening, but, if you want to watch the video, I'm sorry, man. You can go watch it yourself. Right here, titled, Killer Husband Murders Wife During 911 Call. But, yeah, no, but that's one of my worst fears, bro, is, like, having somebody know what your every move is, or, like, having a hidden camera in your room that you have no idea about, even though you live in this room every day of your life, and you have no idea about it. Like, that would just be insane, actually, I was about to drop, like, a crazy story, but I don't even know if I want to tell that, just keep my life private, you feel me? Maybe later on, if I become a respected YouTuber. Maybe when I'm like older, I'll drop that story. But for right now, start the video.
Contact order.
So he can't come back here.
No.
The reason I said start the video is because I clicked once and it didn't work. If you couldn't hear me, go on.
After spending the night behind bars, Chris posted bail, and because of the no contact order, his family took him in for the time being. But the order didn't stop Chris from reaching out. He immediately texted Angela, claiming that he would change his ways and fix their marriage. And just a few weeks after the no contact order was put in place, Angela lifted it, and Chris moved back in. But it wasn't long before Chris's drinking habits and abusive
Alright, I know I keep pausing the video, I'm sorry, but one quote that has always stuck to me, and I never believed it until I got my heart broke real bad one time by this evil succubus of a woman, in my opinion. But the quote is, you can never reread a book and expect a different ending. And that's exactly what she did right here. And it cost her her life. And sorry, but my AC just kicked back on. You know how it is, window unit, we trapping.
behaviors spiraled out of control again. In her diary, Angela wrote, August 23rd text message, calling me names saying it's going to get real and ugly. Drinking every day. I think Chris is capable of anything. He told my sister he didn't give a if he went to jail. Eventually, Angela decided that enough was enough. She moved in with her sister Wendy, and on September 1st, 2022, she was granted a second no-contact order. However, Angela had...
Who, for real, names their kid Wendy? I ain't gonna lie. But, dude, I know I was faded, but I wasn't feeling tired. I just got like a wave of tiredness over me.
Had left a handful of things at her and Chris's house, so Chris was ordered to move out temporarily while Angela collected these items. But when she went back to the house, it was a disaster. Furniture and picture frames were destroyed, garbage was scattered, and black paint was splattered all over the house. Her mattress had even been relocated to another room in the house, dragged through large dog droppings along the way. Also, in an attempt to scare Angela further, a plethora of guns were scattered throughout the house. In Iowa, no-contact orders require authorities to confiscate any guns during an ongoing abuse case. But Bellevue police did no such thing with Chris. Throughout the rest of September, the acts of psychological...
Alright, so... he could have went and bought another gun, but... Iowa State Police had the opportunity to potentially save this woman's life, but they decided to be sloppy and, oh, you know, it's been a long night, I'm not gonna sit here and really think through what the proper procedure is. You gotta treat every case the same, bro. You know, if you're a police, you know, you might as well just put your all or nothing towards your job, because see, just one little, oh, I didn't remember, or one little, oh, I didn't know, can cost somebody their life.
Warfare continued. On September 15th, he was arrested for sending more texts to Angela because they violated his no-contact order. But within 24 hours, he had posted bail as usual and was free to terrorize her more. He would drive by her house several times a day, violating the no-contact order each time. On one occasion, Chris pulled up next to her at a gas station.
Now, this is my view on that, you know, driving past her house and shit. Unless she reported it, you know, how do they have any proof that he actually was? Because, you know, by chance it could be his main route to work, you know, but he could have just went the next block over. Yeah, I guess that can violate your thing. Yeah.
situation and just stared at her. When she reported it to the police, they told her, "It's a small town. You will have that." The creepy behavior from Chris didn't stop, so Angela filed police reports over.
Wow. It's a small town, you will have that. That's crazy.
Over and over. Although the Bellevue Police Department said they would handle it, they didn't seem to be taking any real action against Chris. For example, 7 days before Angela's murder, on October 1st, 2022, an officer responded to one of her reports. He tried to put her mind at ease, telling her that he would have a chat with Chris and the situation would be sorted out.
My job is to protect you at all costs. Because right now, I guarantee he's not thinking.
My job is to protect you at all costs, which you haven't done on numerous occasions already, and she hasn't even been murdered yet. So, not in all cases, but probably 50 to maybe 75% of cases, based on my estimate, could have resulted in the worst possible thing because police have not done their job. Watch my channel if you want to hear the truth, bro. That's all I'm saying. Like, that's probably not the truth, that was an estimate, but like, if you want to hear some real shit, or like, you know, if you want to come here to, you know, get a good message, or, you know, just hear some stuff that isn't outlandish and could actually, I do speak facts on my channel, but some of the things I say are estimates or assumptions, which I usually let you know before I you know, say it if it's an estimate, because I don't know if it's just y'all, but like, I have like OCD. Like, it's not to where, like, you know, I want my room to be all prim and proper at all costs. Like, yeah, I like it prim and proper, but not at all costs. I'm not that crazy. Like, it'll be a little messy, but I won't let it get like crazy, you know what I'm saying? But like, I have a different type of OCD where, like, the way how I like things, and I just said the exact, sorry, y'all, I'm trying to figure out how to, like, explain this correctly. Just like, I'm very particular about the way I say things. And, like, you know, just like I said, I was like, oh, you know, if it's not a proven fact, I'll let you know. But if it is a proven fact, I'll say it with my chest out, because it is, you know. If it's probably true, then, you know, I'll say it's probably true. If it's an estimate, I'll say it's an estimate, you know. I'm just, also, I'm particular about the way I carry myself, too. Boom, that's it right there. In some ways, yeah. Alright, if that makes sense to you, good job, you can understand me.
Straight.
No, not at all.
That's my biggest fear. That's my department's biggest fear, is he's going to try to hurt you.
But despite all of this foresight,
your biggest fear is that he's going to try to hurt you. Well, then you should be sitting there shaking like Scooby-Doo. Bruh, you trash-ass cop.
Nothing was done to prevent Angela's murder.
We got lady down, lady down. Scene clear, scene clear.
As the officers cleared the building of any threats, they noticed a trail of blood drops leading toward one of the kennel exits. An all-points bulletin was put out to alert law enforcement within the area that a suspect was at large.
Why don't you secure that outbuilding? Law Center, make sure you get an out points out for a suspect.
6 different law enforcement agencies heard this broadcast, including Iowa's Department of Criminal Investigations, who then took over the case. Law enforcement split up to search the other houses on the property. They checked every nook and cranny, but were unsuccessful in finding their suspect. However, they were able to gain access to the North End house's security camera, which just barely overlooks the kennel parking lot. Throughout the entire night, there was no movement, but at 4:20 a.m., they heard something peculiar. Something had suddenly alerted the dogs in the kennel. 3 hours later, at 7:34 a.m., Angela can be seen arriving at work, pulling into her parking spot, and gathering her things before heading into the building. 5 minutes later, at 7:39 a.m., the same time as Angela's 911 call, a gunshot can be heard. 2 minutes after that, at 7:41 a.m., Chris can be seen casually walking along the fence line, away from the scene. Unfortunately, it's hard to say exactly where Chris went from here, so the investigators weighed their options. Directly behind the kennels is what locals call the wilderness, a dense forest that stretches for miles, separated by the property fence line. Chris, an avid hunter, was very familiar with the wilderness. However, law enforcement was not, making it the perfect place for Chris to flee. But there are also many properties surrounding the kennels where Chris may have sought refuge. Law enforcement once again split up, some heading into the wilderness while others expanded the search into the surrounding farmland. Even in the empty fields, the officers were on high alert, just in case Chris was lurking somewhere in the tall grass. As they continued their manhunt, they cleared several abandoned structures and eventually ended up at a series of farm properties. They searched any barns and sheds that Chris could be hiding in, but they repeatedly had no luck. During this search, Bellevue Police Department received a 911 call from a woman named Lori Blauser.
I see you guys are looking for Chris Pritchard.
Yes.
His truck is in our garage.
Lori and her husband Mike were friends with Chris and had supported him throughout.
Wow. Wait, support him throughout what?
His and Angela's turbulent relationship.
So if it is the way it sounds to me, then I take everything very, very literally. Alright, did they say that they supported Chris or that they supported both of them?
For Chris Pritchard?
Yes.
His truck is in our garage.
Lori and her husband Mike were friends with Chris and had supported him throughout his and Angela's turbulent relationship.
So the way that sounds to me is that makes me sound like that they're on his side. So now I'm looking at two snitches. Alright. If they are associates with him and supported his drunken and high craze and, you know, didn't seek out any help and try to help her as well, then they're a snitch because they were supporting his delusionness. You know, if you're gonna support him to put her through a lifetime of abuse, you might as well support him after he kills her. Because honestly, if you ask me, lifetime of abuse from your husband with his friend support or death, I would choose death. So why would you support them through a lifetime of abuse? Because that's your whole damn life. You're just gonna get abused. You know. I'm gapping kinda. I'm talking that tired talk now because now I'm kinda not making sense.
Relationship. They lived just a few miles away from the kennels. Officers rushed to their ranch and surrounded the garage, guns drawn in case Chris was inside. They entered carefully and made sure the building was safe before inspecting Chris's truck.
Clear in here, Jim.
The coast was clear, so they opened up the vehicle and found a note from Chris to Mike Blauser. It read, "Hey Mike, came to take these lights down. I just had 7 coyote cross the road in front of me about a mile up the road. I'm gonna go try to kill a couple of them. Keys are in the truck if you need to move it. I'll be back. Chris." The Blausers allowed investigators to access their home security camera, and the night before, their dog can be seen barking at Chris as he enters the garage. Although this helped the authorities establish a timeline leading up to the shooting, his current whereabouts were still unknown. They headed to some more populated neighborhoods and knocked door to door.
Is that the man they're looking for? Right there, Chris Pritchard. You guys know Chris Pritchard, don't you?
While many of the locals knew who Chris Pritchard was, they had no idea where he could be.
Has he been known to come out here?
Keep being lazy about cleaning your apartment. No, seriously. Home Aglow will clean it for just $9. Home Aglow washes and folds your laundry. Or
every once in a while?
Yeah, I haven't seen him though today. I'll let you know if I see anything or hear anything.
The officers warned everybody that Chris was a suspect in the shooting of his wife Angela, and to keep their eye out for him. One of the couples they warned was cattle farmer Jeff Junk and his girlfriend Kim Klein. Later that day at 8:15 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Jeff opened the door and there was Chris, still holding the shotgun he killed Angela with. He handed the gun over to Jeff and told them that he had been running from the police and their dogs all day. Jeff then confronted him about the shooting, and Chris responded with, "Oh yeah, how's she doing?" They told...
Wait. So first, I need to hear if they're friends or not, and they supported him too.
Their eye out for him. One of the couples they warned was cattle farmer Jeff Junk and his girlfriend Kim Klein. Later that day at 8:15 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Jeff opened the door and...
Okay, so I think that the whole reason that Jeff would even do this is they might have been supporting him through the marriage's downfall as well.
There was Chris, still holding the shotgun he killed Angela with.
Dude,
he handed the gun...
That's a devious picture of Chris, bro. Look at him, bro. He was like 200 pounds before. Now he looks like skin and bones, frail, man. Damn.
Over to Jeff and told them that he had been running from the police and their dogs all day. Jeff then confronted him about the shooting, and Chris responded with, "Oh yeah, how's she doing?" They told him she was dead, but he essentially had no reaction and started making small talk. Jeff and Kim had no choice but to play along until they felt it was safe to call the police. So they invited him inside and acted like nothing had happened. They told stories, laughed, and drank together for the rest of the evening, as you can see in this photo taken by Kim. Then, at about midnight, Chris suddenly passed out in their lazy boy chair. Jeff took this opportunity to text the chief deputy to come get their suspect. Chris was abruptly awoken by the police dragging him out of the house. He seemed terribly inconvenienced.
What's wrong with you guys? Christ, I was sleeping.
While cuffing him, the officers noticed a cut on his hand.
Looks like he's got a cut to his left thumb.
This would explain the trail of blood drops back at the crime scene.
Yep, I think we're good to go in then.
While Chris was being transported to the Jackson County Jail, the investigators gathered any evidence that Chris had brought into the house. This included shotgun ammo, loose change, a utility knife, torn up jeans, the 20-gauge shotgun itself, and Angela's bank cards and phone. Chris arrived at the jail and was escorted out of the cruiser and into the building. He was clearly exhausted after a long day of running from the police. He waddled his way through the jailhouse, looking more like a scared, wounded animal than a cold-blooded killer. Looking more like a scared, wounded animal than...
Scared, wounded animal, not no cold-blooded killer. Look at you. Not you. You. Look at you.
A cold-blooded killer. The officers threw him in his cell, and Chris was able to get a few more hours of sleep before he was awoken by the lead detectives, Special Agents Dustin Henningsen.
I don't know about y'all, bro, but I know I may not look like it, but I will never tell a lie on this channel. I've been to jail before, and I don't know about y'all, but if it's at least, like I know at least for the first few nights that I'm there, I will not be able to sleep, and I wasn't able to sleep at all. I mean, it was always hard to sleep in jail, especially for my first like few weeks, because I didn't have no book to read. I didn't have nothing, you know. I was starting from shit, you know. I was starting, you know, I didn't have no commissary like everybody else, you know. I was far away from my family, and everybody else had did their shit there, you know, but I was far away. I didn't get no commissary. I don't remember getting a phone call, but yeah, no, I eventually scored me a few books and made it a bit easier, but...
And Ryan Kedley. They brought him into a quiet room for an interview. Chris gave them his side of the story about what had happened at the kennels.
My bag's been hurting.
She said, you gotta leave now or I'm gonna call the police. Well, I said, I just want to talk. And she shoved me. And I hit the cabinet. The gun, I don't know what the gun hit, but it went off.
Chris told several versions of this story throughout the interview. First, he said that they got into an argument and Angela shoved him. As he fell back into the cupboards, he accidentally shot her with the gun.
And it looked like if you hit her in the arm. How would you die from that?
Then he said the gun was leaning against the cupboard.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It looked like it hit her in the arm. How would you die from that? Okay. If it's the better part of, like, you know, if you were like 6 feet away from me, I don't even know. It's been a while since I shot a shotgun, so I've kind of forgotten the power it holds. But dude, if you shoot somebody in the arm at a good enough range, dude, their arm is gonna fly off. Their arm is gonna be separated from their body. That is a shotgun, especially if it was a buckshot. What did they say? It was a 12 gauge too? Is that if they said it was a 12 gauge, that's way worse for them. Jesus Christ. My God, dude.
And as he left to grab a bag from another room, the gun fell and somehow misfired. However, according to the medical examiner, the gunshot hit a downward
I can hit her in the arm. How would you die from that?
Then he said the gun was leaning against the cupboard, and as he left to grab a bag from another room, the gun fell and somehow misfired. However, according to the medical examiner, the gunshot had a downward trajectory, meaning the shooter, aka Chris, had to have been holding the gun when it was fired. But
okay, my bad, y'all. I thought he was saying that now it had shot on 2 separate occasions. My bad, y'all.
you don't need a medical examiner in order to conclude that Chris had intentionally killed her.
You show up at a place where you know she's going to be. You've got a gun with her. You know you've got a no contact order. An argument breaks out. She calls 911. She winds up dead. This wasn't just some accident.
Despite common sense working against him, Chris continued to insist that he loved Angela and would never do something like that on purpose. But if it really was an accident, why did he proceed to steal her phone and bank cards and then abandon her at the scene to die?
I would love to have stuck around with Angie and her temper. I thought maybe he didn't even really hit her that bad because she was yelling at me like she wasn't even hurt.
This statement is a blatant lie. In the 911 call, Angela goes completely silent after being shot.
Okay, where are you at? Ma'am, where are you at?
Oh, yeah. I just pieced together, bro. He said that she was yelling at him and, you know, saying all this after he shot her, making it look like it didn't hurt that bad, but she was dead silent. She was dead on impact. This sick, sadistic piece of scum, dude.
And this call begs another question. Why would he say you directly after she was shot? The detectives asked Chris why he was at the kennels in the first place. He admitted that he was upset about the no contact order and went there to confront her about it.
She wanted to drag me through the mud and make me a monster.
Chris refused to give a full confession, but thankfully for the detectives, he did admit to shooting Angela one way or another, fleeing the scene, and also provided them with a crystal clear motive: anger regarding the no contact order. The detectives had everything they needed, so they wrapped up the interview and Chris was charged with the first-degree murder and robbery of Angela Pritchard.
On new information tonight, a man out of Bellevue has been charged with first-degree murder in the death of his wife after admitting to law enforcement he shot her and later left the scene.
At his arraignment, Chris pled not guilty to his charges. His bail was set at $1 million, an amount he could not pay. On February 7th, 2024, his trial began. The prosecution laid out the timeline of events leading up to the shooting. It just so happens that on October 7th, the day before the shooting, Angela's second no-contact order against Chris became permanent. The prosecution suggested that this caused him to snap, and he devised a plan for revenge, taking several steps to cover his tracks. The white pickup truck the investigators found in the Blazer's garage wasn't actually his. He borrowed it from a friend so that he didn't have to take his own vehicle. He stowed the truck in the Blazer's garage, and after spending some time in there doing who knows what, he trekked in the middle of the night through the wilderness all the way to the kennels, where he snuck into the building and laid in wait. When Angela arrived for work, he confronted her.
Please, get out of here. I have customers coming in.
And in a fit of rage, he shot her in the chest. He then stole her belongings and fled the scene.
Wait, man, because If he wants her to leave where she is at right now, which to me sounded like she is at home. So she has customers coming to her house, which means the customers who she booked her appointment with means she wasn't able to answer their text. You know, some of them might have canceled their appointment just because she didn't reply. Some of them probably would have still showed up. I would still show up to my barber's place even if he, you know, wasn't replying to me, because like, bro, I need that cut. But I ain't gonna lie, I cut my own hair, swear to God. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, I have customers coming in. Whenever the customers arrive, they're just gonna walk in and see you dead. Well, actually, how would they get in unless they had some bad intentions, because she would have to answer the door. Dude, I really gotta pee. I'm trying to stick it out for y'all, bro. I really gotta pee.
Despite
and
the
like, I don't know how to like pause my recording. It only ends. I'm sticking it out for y'all.
mountain of evidence against Chris, his defense claimed that the investigators had rushed to prosecute him. They believed that there was zero conclusive evidence pointing to Angela being killed intentionally. The trial lasted for 4 days, and after jury deliberations, they came back with a verdict. Chris Pritchard was found guilty for the murder of his wife, Angela. Watching from the gallery, her family was overwhelmed with emotions. On March 22, 2024, during Chris's sentencing hearing, Angela's sister Wendy gave an impact statement. She said, "No words can fill the void we all have in our lives now, but knowing Angie got the justice she deserves will help." Angela's father also gave a statement in which he spoke directly to Chris, calling him a dog and a coward.
A dog and a coward. Alright, sorry y'all, but I really gotta end this video right now because, dude, I gotta pee so bad. I gotta pee. Alright, so, peace out. Have an amazing day, night, morning, whatever time it is. And I'll see you next time.